Isa Samad will begin serving a 6-year jail term after the federal court reinstated his corruption conviction. Meanwhile, a Bloomberg report on Azam Baki has led to calls for the Prime Minister to remove him as MACC chief. Stay tuned for this and more on KiniNews. The federal court has reinstated the Graft conviction against Isa Samad. The court ruled that the High Court judge's conviction for all 9 charges is correct and safe.
Former Umno Vice President Isa Samad will begin serving his jail term today. This is after the federal court reinstated his corruption convictions and imprisonment sentence this morning. The former Felda chairperson was found guilty by the Kuala Lumpur High Court in 2021 and sentenced to 6 years imprisonment and a 15.45 million ringgit fine. He was then acquitted by the Court of Appeal in 2024. Today, the Apex Court's 3-judge panel, led by Nordin Hassan, allowed the prosecution's appeal against Isa's acquittal, finding that the Court of Appeal should not have disturbed the High Court's verdict. The court found that the trial judge's finding is supported by evidence and in accordance with the law. Nordin said that the ingredients of the offence under Section 16A, bracket A of the MACC Act 2009 of corruptly receiving money as a reward had been proven for all 9 charges against the respondent beyond a reasonable doubt. Subsequently, the panel issued a committal warrant against Isa, ordering him to be sent to prison. It is understood that he would be sent to Sungai Buloh prison. Isa was previously charged with receiving gratification for himself, totaling 3.09 million ringgit in cash from Gagasan Abadi Property Sdn Berhad board member Ikhwan Zaidal through one Muhammad Zahid Muhammad Arif. The money was purportedly gratification for helping to approve Felda Investment Corporation Sdn Berhad's purchase of a hotel in Sarawak for 160 million ringgit.
A Bloomberg report today highlighted that MACC chief Azam Baki owns 17.7 million shares in financial services firm Velocity Capital Partners Berhad, representing about a 1.7% stake. The shares were valued at nearly 800,000 ringgit at the opening of trade today, far exceeding the limit imposed on civil servants who are prohibited from owning more than 100,000 ringgit worth of shares in a single company. Following the report, Pasir Gudang MP Hassan Karim has urged Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim to remove Azam from his post as MACC chief. Hassan said that in light of the new facts, Anwar must immediately order Azam to go on leave or terminate his contract to allow a MACC and/or police investigation to be conducted. Speaking to Malaysia Kini, Hassan said there was no other option if Anwar was sincere about eradicating corruption and abuse of power. He added that Anwar was fully aware of the allegations against Azam and that his continued support for the MACC chief had undermined the government's anti-corruption credibility. From now on, you can also listen to KiniNews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us. MACC chief Azam Baki has said that he had properly declared his shareholding in financial services firm Velocity Capital Partners Berhad through the Public Service Department's Human Resource Management Information System. His clarification follows a Bloomberg report, which stated that he owns 17.7 million shares in a company valued at nearly 800,000 ringgit, which is above the 100,000 ringgit limit imposed on civil servants for shareholdings in a single company. According to the Newsrace Times, Azam said that the shares were purchased last year and disposed of within the year. NST reported him as saying that he had nothing to hide and that the share ownership was fully transparent. He also described the reports on the matter as malicious and misleading, adding that he is considering legal action over their allegedly defamatory nature. Meanwhile, the MACC said that it views the media reports on its chief commissioner, which contains misleading statements and unfounded allegations, seriously. It said the report not only affects the image and reputation of the officer concerned, but also unjustifiably associates MACC with allegations of wrongdoing, which may undermine public confidence in the Commission. The MACC added that asset declaration by public officers is subject to established governance and administrative procedures under the Public Service Framework and is made through official channels to relevant authorities. It stressed that Azam has fully complied with all applicable asset declaration requirements, adding that any suggestion on a failure to declare assets is factually incorrect. While we are on the topic of the MACC, a PKR leader has called on the government to establish an independent oversight committee to scrutinize the MACC with the aim of strengthening accountability and restoring public confidence in the commission.
PKR Deputy President Nurul Izzah Anwar has called on the government to establish an independent oversight committee to scrutinize the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission's actions, with the body reporting directly to Parliament. In a commentary published by The Star yesterday, she said the challenges facing the MACC are systemic, stemming from the vast concentration of investigative, prosecutorial, and financial powers within a single institution under the MACC Act. She added that these concerns are compounded by limited and largely ineffective external oversight. Nurul Izzah noted that PKR has consistently raised these issues since the early 2000s, warning that when such powers remain unchecked, the risk of abuse is not hypothetical but inevitable. She stressed that without proper oversight, accountability inevitably erodes. Elaborating on her proposal, she said the Oversight Committee must be empowered to review the MACC's enforcement actions. This includes scrutinizing decisions on asset freezes, auditing financial flows, and ensuring that anti-corruption efforts are guided by evidence and due process instead of unfettered discretion. While underscoring the importance of a fearless and independent anti-graft body, Nurul Izzah said the Commission cannot dismiss legitimate questions about how it conducts investigations. She added that institutions wielding immense authority must be held to the highest standards to maintain public trust and withstand scrutiny. She emphasized that the people are now looking for evidence-based investigations coupled with sustainable prosecutions, with stolen wealth fully returned to the nation's coffers.
If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe. Moving on to Bersatu, its Vice President Ronald Kiandi has made a stand in the party's internal struggle between President Muhyiddin Yassin and Deputy President Hamzah Zainuddin. In a statement today, he said that the party disciplinary board's summons against Hamzah gave the public the impression that Bersatu is fixated on safeguarding Muhyiddin's position instead of the issues it champions. He added that Muhyiddin has failed to manage the party's internal crisis effectively and has let it drag on to a point where it is impossible to resolve. According to Ronald, Muhyiddin seems to be using his remaining strength to defend his position as Bersatu president to fulfill his personal agenda to become Prime Minister again, which includes preventing Hamzah from leading Bersatu in the future. In light of this, the Sabah Bersatu chief said Muhyiddin should consider resigning as Bersatu president, adding that this would also help with strategic ties in Perikatan Nasional. Still on the topic, when asked for comments, Kota Baru MP Taqiyuddin Hassan told Malaysia Kini that PAS will not interfere in or offer any views on any internal issues within Bersatu. He added that their only hope is that whatever is happening in Bersatu will be managed in the best possible way, not just for the sake of Bersatu but also for PN. The PN Deputy Secretary General said this is because the strength and stability of PAS, Bersatu, Gerakan and MIPP as component parties are crucial to ensuring the solidarity of PN, which remains the hope of a large segment of Malaysians. Earlier today, Bersatu Vice President Razzie Jidin alluded to the internal turmoil through a poem lamenting pain without peace and how peace is unattainable without trust. Both Razzie and Bersatu's third Vice President Ahmad Faizal Azumu were among the party's elected representatives who attended a gathering at Muhyiddin's house last Sunday. Notably absent were those said to be aligned with Hamzah. Meanwhile, Taqiyuddin also commented on a Sina Harian interview with the party's Deputy President Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man last week that the party had alleged received Muhyiddin's blessings to assume the chairperson position with no conditions attached. He insisted that any decision on a new PN chairperson to replace Muhyiddin can only be finalized at the coalition's next Supreme Council meeting, scheduled to be convened after February 19th. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to Kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.